You know that feeling, right? You open a new app, maybe after an update, and somehow it just works.
Yeah, it flows. Everything feels right, intuitive.
Exactly. Or, the opposite happens. You hit something so clunky, so frustrating, you almost, well, you want to throw your phone,
Oh, definitely. And that gap, that difference between delight and despair, that's often down to something specific.
which is,
Usability evaluation. It's the critical process behind making technology feel good to use.
okay, usability evaluation. So today, we're going to unpack that. We've dug into a whole stack of sources on human-computer interaction, really focusing on this evaluation piece.
That's right. And our mission here is to sort of cut through the technical jargon and show you how the pros assess and improve digital products.
We want to give you a shortcut, really, to understanding the principles that make tech work for us, not, against us.
By the end of this, you should have a much clearer picture of what usability is, why it's often tricky to get right, and importantly, how it's actually measured.
I'm genuinely excited for this because, let's face it, good usability isn't just nice to have anymore, it's baseline. People expect it.
They absolutely do. So where do we start?
Let's start with the basics. What is usability, fundamentally?
At its simplest, it's really just about how well users can use a system's functions. Pretty straightforward, right?
Seems so, but I bet there's more to it.
There is. The formal definition from ISO 924111 gets a bit more specific. It talks about the extent to which a product can be used by specified users to achieve specified goals with effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction in a specified context of use.
Okay, wow. That's quite a bit denser. Effectiveness, efficiency, satisfaction.
Yeah.
Specified user, specified context.
Right. It highlights the complexity. It's often described as a quality attribute, assessing how easy a user interface, a UI, is to use.
And why is that so challenging? Why isn't it just obvious how to design an easy UI?
Well, a huge part of it is that the designer, they aren't the typical user. They know the system inside out. Their perspective is different.
The curse of knowledge.
Exactly. So usability, fundamentally, it's about communicating effectively with others through the design. And balancing those ISO components, effectiveness, efficiency, satisfaction, that's the real trick.
Oh, so do these sometimes conflict?
They can, yeah. What makes a system super efficient for an expert user might totally overwhelm a novice, tanking their satisfaction and maybe even effectiveness. You're designing for a varied human experience.
Okay, so to manage that complexity, experts often break usability down.
Yes, typically into 5 key dimensions. Think of them as different lenses to look through.
Let's hear them.
First, learnability. Pretty simple. How easy is it for a brand new user to get going?
Makes sense. If you can't start, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
What's next?
Efficiency. Once someone has learned the ropes, how quickly can they perform tasks? This is key for experienced users.
Okay, learnability for newbies, efficiency for pros. Got it.
Then memorability. What about people who use the system but, infrequently? Can they come back after a break and remember how to use it without starting over?
Ooh, that's a good one. I feel that pain sometimes. 2 more.
Yep. Errors. How often do users make mistakes? How bad are those mistakes? And crucially, can they recover easily?
So minimizing mistakes and making recovery painless.
Exactly. And finally, satisfaction. Is the system pleasant to use? Does it feel good? Does it make the user feel competent or frustrated?
Right, the subjective element. That seems important, but maybe harder to pin down.
It can be, but it's vital. And the key thing, something your listeners should really grasp, is that the importance of these 5 dimensions. It shifts.
Shifts depending on...
Depending on the user, like we touched on. For that novice, learnability is everything.
For someone who uses it occasionally?
Memorability might be the biggest deal. If they have to relearn it constantly, they'll just stop using it.
And the power user. The expert.
Efficiency. They know the system. They just want speed.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that user isn't monolithic. Someone can be an expert in one area, but a novice in another, even within the same software.
Precisely. Think of a doctor domain expert using new medical software application novice. Or maybe they know the software well, but encounter a brand new, complex feature novice. Understanding these nuances is critical for evaluation.
Which leads us perfectly into the why, what, where, and when of doing these evaluations. So why bother?
The core reason. To really understand how real people interact with your product, not just how you hope they do.
To get beyond assumptions.
Exactly. And then obviously to use those insights to make the product better. It's about checking if you're meeting user needs, if they can actually use the thing, and ideally, if they even like it.
Okay, so that's the why. What about the what? What kinds of things get evaluated?
It's a really broad range. You can evaluate a very early conceptual model, just an idea sketched out.
Like before any code is written.
Absolutely. Then you move through early prototypes, maybe paper prototypes, the more functional ones, right up to evaluating the finished product, sometimes even comparing it head-to-head with competitors.
And where does this happen? Does it have to be in some fancy lab?
It can be. Usability labs exist, and they offer a controlled environment. But evaluations can also happen in more natural settings.
Like in the wild, observing
Yeah.
people using it in their actual homes or offices.
Exactly. Or you might bring people into a more controlled lab setting. These labs often have things like cameras, screen recording, maybe even a two-way mirror.
Sounds intense, like an interrogation.
Ha! Well, it shouldn't feel that way. It's crucial to let participants know who's watching and why, but the lab allows for detailed observation, often with specialists analyzing the feed in a separate room.
What's the main advantage of a lab then? Control.
Control, consistency, and specialized equipment, yes. Plus, sometimes just having a lab encourages more usability work within an organization. But honestly, you can do good evaluations almost anywhere these days with portable recorders and software.
Okay, so flexibility exists. What about when? When in the whole design and development process should evaluation happen? Is it a final check?
Oh, definitely not just a final check. Ideally, it happens throughout the design process. It's iterative.
So you design something, evaluate it, learn, redesign, evaluate again.
That's the loop. But evaluation isn't just for things in development. You can and should evaluate finished products too.
Why? To find bugs.
Not just bugs. To gather information that feeds into the next version or informs completely new products. It's a continuous learning cycle.
Got it. So continuous evaluation, not just a one-off. Okay, let's shift gears slightly and talk about how this is done. The methods. Our sources mentioned formative versus summative evaluations.
Right. Think of formative evaluations as happening during design. They're part of that iterative loop. The goal is to understand how users are responding, get qualitative feedback, and, well, form the design as you go.
Shaping the clay as you work with it.
A good analogy. Summative evaluations, on the other hand, typically happen after the product is more or less complete.
So what's their purpose?
Often it's about comparison, maybe against a previous version or a competitor, or identifying big issues before a major redesign. Summative results tend to be more quantitative, looking for statistical significance.
But you mentioned earlier, a potential pitfall is companies only doing summative tests, right, when it's almost too late.
Exactly. Waiting until the end can mean you miss chances to fix fundamental problems much earlier and cheaper based on formative feedback.
Makes sense. Okay, let's dig into some specific formative methods. What about heuristic evaluation? Sounds kind of academic.
It sounds it, but it's very practical. It's basically an inspection method. You get a small group of usability experts, usually 3 to 5, to examine the interface.
So not real users yet. Experts acting like users.
In a way, they systematically compare the interface against a list of established usability principles. These are the heuristics. Think of them as rules of thumb for good design.
And what do? Just make a list of problems?
Pretty much. They inspect the UI, find places where it violates these heuristics, list the problems, and crucially, justify why it's a problem by referencing the specific heuristic it breaks.
Can you give an example of a heuristic?
Sure. A classic one is visibility of system status. The idea is the system should always keep users informed about what's going on.
Like a loading bar when something's processing.
Exactly. Or a little message sent confirmation. Without that feedback, users feel lost, anxious. Is it working? Did my click register? It builds trust.
Okay, that seems fundamental. Another one.
How about match between system and real world? This means the system should speak the user's language. Use words, phrases, concepts familiar to the user rather than system jargon.
Like the shopping cart icon in e-commerce. Everyone knows what that means.
Perfect example. It uses a real-world metaphor. If you invent obscure terms, you force users to learn your language, which impacts learnability.
Makes sense. Maybe one more.
Let's do error prevention. Good design doesn't just help users recover from errors. It tries to prevent them in the first place.
Oh.
By designing carefully, or by offering confirmation options before potentially destructive actions, that, are you sure you want to delete this message?
The one we sometimes click through too fast.
But it's a safety net. It prevents accidental data loss. It's about designing defensively.
So, heuristic evaluation uses expert knowledge to find these common problems early based on principles.
Yes, it's efficient for catching many issues without needing to recruit typical users yet.
What's another method? I saw a cognitive walkthrough mentioned.
Right. This one is also typically done by evaluators, but the focus is different. Here, you simulate a user's problem-solving process step by step through a specific task.
So less about general principles, more about a specific journey.
Exactly. At each step of the task, the evaluator asks a series of questions. Will the user know what goal they should be trying to achieve here? Will they actually notice the correct action or control is available?
Okay.
Then, will they associate that correct action with their goal? Do they understand that button does this thing they want? And if they take the action, will they see clear feedback that they're making progress towards their goal?
Wow, it's detailed. It's like getting inside the user's head at each micro decision.
It is. It's very focused on the learnability path for a specific task. The output is usually a report detailing where users might get stuck, identifying those design gaps. It gives really actionable data, especially during the design phase.
Okay, heuristic evaluation and cognitive walkthrough rely on experts or evaluators, but eventually you need real users, right?
Absolutely. Which brings us to user testing. This is probably what most people think of first.
Watching actual users try to do things.
That's the core of it. Real users attempting specific tasks with the interface or product, usually under observation in realistic conditions.
And the big benefit here is
Reality check. It identifies friction points in the actual user experience, often highlighting things designers or experts missed. Catching these early saves a ton of cost down the line.
But our sources highlighted some crucial don'ts for user testing. It's not just about watching people click.
Very important points. First, you're not evaluating if the system technically works. That's quality assurance or QA. Usability testing is about the experience.
Right, different goal.
Second, the experimenters or designers shouldn't be the evaluators if possible. You need objective observation. And crucially, get users, not just colleagues.
Okay.
What else? Don't just ask users questions about what they would do. You need to watch their behavior. Actions often speak louder than words.
And don't train them beforehand.
Definitely not. The point is to see if they can figure it out naturally. If they need training, that's a potential usability issue right there.
And maybe the most important don't.
Don't test the user. You are always evaluating the system. Frame it that way. Make the participant feel comfortable, not like they're being judged.
That psychological safety seems key to getting honest reactions.
It is. And one of the best ways to get those reactions is the think aloud protocol.
Ah, yes. Jacob Nielsen called it maybe the single most valuable method. What is it exactly?
You simply ask users to continuously verbalize their thoughts as they use the system. Whatever pops into their head, their goals, their confusion, their frustrations, their expectations.
Talk it out loud.
Yep.
It feels a bit unnatural at first, but it gives incredible insight into their mental process.
What's the moderator's role then? Just sit there.
Not quite. They need to prompt the user gently if they go quiet, but using neutral prompts like, "What are you thinking now?" or "What do you expect to happen there?"
So guiding without leading. No giving away answers or hinting.
Precisely. It's a skill. You want their raw, unfiltered thought process.
And for this user testing, getting the right users must be critical.
Absolutely fundamental. You need people who are truly representative of your target audience.
Meaning?
Covering the spectrum, novices, experts, people with different backgrounds or technical skills relevant to your product. If you only test with super users, you'll miss problems novices face.
Are there challenges in finding these users?
Oh yeah. Sometimes managers want to pick their best employees, which skews results. Finding niche specialists can be hard, and just motivating people to participate often requires small thank you gifts or compensation. Okay, so user testing with Think Aloud is powerful, but needs careful setup. What about other techniques? I saw eye tracking mentioned.
Yeah, eye tracking is fascinating. It uses special hardware and software to measure exactly where a user is looking on the screen, moment by moment.
What does that tell you that just watching them doesn't?
It shows you what they actually see, or perhaps more importantly, what they don't see. Is that crucial button completely ignored? Are they reading the instructions or just standing? It gives you a direct window into their visual attention. People often say they feel like they're the user when watching eye tracking replays.
Wow. And remote testing, is that just user testing over Zoom?
Sort of, but often more structured. It's when the tester and participant are in different locations, maybe even different time zones. Specialized software can guide the user through tasks, record their screen and voice, and collect data automatically.
So that allows for testing with a wider geographic pool of users.
Exactly. More diversity, often faster turnaround.
One more data technique, clickstream analysis. What's that about?
That's more about analyzing log data, often from websites. You track the sequence of clicks users make, the paths they take through the site.
To see where they go, where they drop off.
Right. It helps understand navigation patterns, identify popular routes, and spot places where users might be getting lost or abandoning tasks.
Okay, that's a lot of methods. With all this data coming in, how do you ensure the evaluation itself is, well, good?
Yeah.
How do you measure success or failure?
Good question. You need concrete usability measures, things you can quantify.
Like,
Time taken to complete a task is a common one. Number of errors made, how often have they had to use the help system. You can even count positive or negative comments, expressions of satisfaction or frustration.
so turning observations into numbers where possible.
It helps make comparisons more objective. But even with measures, there are potential issues with the evaluation itself. We need to think about reliability and validity.
Okay, what's reliability in this context?
It asks, if you ran this evaluation again with different but similar users, would you get roughly the same results? Do the findings generalize?
Why might they not?
People are different. Individual skills, experiences, they vary. That's why having more than just one or two users is important, and why sometimes statistical analysis helps see beyond individual quirks. A small test is just a sample.
Makes sense. And validity.
Validity asks, did your evaluation actually measure what you intended to measure, or did something else interfere?
Like what? What could interfere?
These are called confounding factors. Maybe you accidentally recruited the wrong type of users. Maybe your task instructions were unclear. Maybe the moderator gave away too much help without realizing it.
So things that could skew the result and make you think the problem is the interface when it was actually the test setup.
Exactly. Poor validity means your conclusions might be wrong.
So how do you guard against that? How do you plan effectively?
One absolutely critical step is running pilot tests.
A dry run.
Essentially, yes. Before you bring in your real participants, you do a practice run, maybe with colleagues. You check if the equipment works, if the prototype is stable, if your tasks make sense, if the instructions are clear.
To iron out the kinks in the evaluation itself.
Precisely. It catches so many potential problems before they affect your real data collection.
Smart. Okay, last big topic, and it feels incredibly important. Ethics. We're involving real people here.
Paramount. Getting ethical clearance, often through review boards, isn't just bureaucracy, it ensures the research is responsible.
Responsible in what way?
Primarily, it ensures you minimize any potential harm to participants, social harm, psychological harm, physical, even legal, and that the research aims for beneficial outcomes.
So what are the key ethical rules for usability testing?
Minimal risk is the baseline. The test shouldn't cause distress. Informed consent is non-negotiable.
Meaning participants need to know exactly what they're signing up for.
Everything. The purpose of the study, what tasks they'll do, roughly how long it will take. Crucially, they must know they have the absolute right to stop at any time, for any reason, without penalty.
And they can pull their data too.
Yes. Withdraw their data afterwards if they choose. They also need to know how their data will be used and kept confidential, anonymized if possible.
And reinforcing that point about not testing the user.
Absolutely. Always emphasize you're evaluating the system, not their intelligence or skill. If they're struggling, it's the system's fault, not theirs. If a participant gets genuinely upset or stressed, you stop the test. Period.
And afterwards.
Thank them sincerely. Debrief them. Explain anything that wasn't clear. Answer their questions. If any mild deception was necessary for the study design, you explain it now. Protect their privacy rigorously.
It really underscores the human element in human-computer interaction.
It has to. Technology is built for people.
What a comprehensive overview. We've gone from the basic definition of usability and its dimensions.
Right. Learnability, efficiency, memorability, errors, satisfaction.
Through the why, what, where, when of evaluation into specific methods like heuristic evaluation, cognitive walkthroughs, and especially user testing with Think Aloud protocols.
We've also touched on other data sources like eye tracking and clickstreams, the importance of measures, reliability, validity, pilot testing.
And wrapped up with the absolutely vital ethical considerations.
Hopefully understanding these principles gives you, our listeners, a real shortcut to appreciating why some tech feels great and some doesn't, and maybe even demanding better experiences.
It definitely makes you look at apps and websites differently. So what's the final thought we want to leave everyone with today?
You need this. The next time you use a piece of software, a website, an app, and it just feels effortless. Or maybe you make a mistake and recovering is simple, almost graceful.
Yeah.
Pause for a second. Consider the invisible work, the rounds of usability evaluation that likely went into making that experience possible.
And maybe flip it around.
Hmm.
What usability principle, what heuristic could you apply, even in a small way, to make your digital world or the things you create just a little bit more user-friendly?
It's a powerful lens to look through, isn't it?